Hello, and welcome back to the Samsara III project. It's great to have you here. I'm happy you're here. Um, let's, let's get all the introduction stuff out of the way, and then we can get into it. Today we'll be undertaking one of the biggest leaps in biology, terrestrialization. Terrestrialization is the process in which an aquatic entity takes up a land-living or terrestrial lifestyle. Like always, I'll have a link to the Discord server and the background music in the description. Enjoy! Starting off, we have a terrestrial plant. This is Protarchogenians, the early land plant, hence the name. It descended from an offshoot of the Terrestrialization clade, which slowly became adapted for a more terrestrial lifestyle. It secretes excess water and glucose through stomata, which it collects as a sticky, almost nectarous resin on its stems and body. Next, we have the Schalophydae, also called the carpet plant. It is similar to Earth's lichen or mosses and comprises much of the terrestrial biomass, as it can asexually reproduce as long as two or more of its long, fibrous, blade-like tendrils are touching. This and the fact that the tendrils are packed closely together leads to a high population density, as well as the ability to make exponentially more offspring. Now, the first radiosynthetic organism we've seen in this episode, Terrestrialization, whose name means land leaf, is not a fully terrestrial organism, but rather lives in marshes and swampland, where it can absorb minerals from the water, but still gets the radiation it needs to survive. Now, while it's possible to do a Spec Evo project without talking about Cladistics, it's very hard. So, I will give you a short rundown of what Cladistics is. Cladistics is a method of classification of animals and plants according to the proportion of measurable characteristics that they have in common. That was hard to say. It is assumed that the higher the proportion of characteristics that two organisms share, the more recently they diverge from a common ancestor. Cladistics are measured in cladograms like the two seen on screen now. Personally, I like the one on the right more, but if you're making a Spec Evo project, do whatever you want. Now, well, here's a simple cladogram of Samsara III's animal life. It's not complete because Filtrodonta isn't on here. I still don't want that thing to exist. I don't know why I drew it like that. The face tentacles. Anyway, it's not complete, but it does display a few basal clades. On the top, we have Terrestrial and its descendants, the Protarchogenians, whose name means prime family. So, yeah, that's the one I'm going to be focusing on mainly. The subclades of it that we have so far include Phytaropisces, Negopisces, and the stomaforms. Now, on the bottom we have the descendants of Xenogarda, the Agnathans, called that because of their lack of jaw structure. As of right now, we only have one Panoplogarda. But, as on the last slide we ended on the Agnathans, we might as well start there with the Terrestrial Agnathans, the only one we have right now, Penodilopteropoda. That's hard to say, so I don't want to say it, but I have to. That name. Anyways, it's descended from Panoplogarda, but has further evolved for life in the intertidal zone and then eventually dry land. It has no bones to speak of, only its external armor, and is held off the ground by legs of pure muscle. Look at that beef. That's some beef right there. Now here's some wonderful art by our friend Fish over on the Discord server. If you want to contribute and have your work cited in videos, make sure to join. Look at that little boy. He's a good little boy right there. He's eating a little plant. He's on a rock, you know. Anyway, back to the science. Penodilopteropoda has to stay relatively small due to its lack of internal support and inefficient breathing system. This is summed up by the square cube law. The square cube law states that as an animal doubles its surface area, its mass quadruples. So, it can't get that big without its legs just being crushed under it. Now, away from the Agnathans, we have the Protarchogenians, if you don't remember from the cladogram. Protarchogenia is the clade that all the descendants of Terrestrial are in. Now, here's Protodaphopod, the first terrestrial Protarchogenian. Well, we haven't done much talking about bones or breathing systems in this series. We're going to start. Phytiara pisces, from which Protodaphopod is descended, had strengthened ligaments in its body which helped to provide extra support. Protodaphopod takes this a step further, having mineralized bones made of dolomite, a calcium-magnesium carbonate. On Earth, this would mean that an animal has to have a lot of muscles to prevent gravity from crushing itself under the weight of its bones, because dolomite is a rock. But on Samsara III, it has only 80% Earth gravity, so the problem's lessened a bit. An early offshoot of Protodaphopod is Protobrachys, which has somewhat surprisingly evolved centaurism, which is the term for when an animal evolves to use one less pair of limbs in locomotion than its ancestors did. This can be seen in humans, whose ancestors walked on 4 limbs, but we walk on 2, at least most of us. 4 locomotor limbs is more efficient than 6, allowing for more speed and maneuverability, and with only slightly less stability. This array of adaptations will allow Protobrachys and its descendants to become Samsara III's first terrestrial predators. Another offshoot of Protodaphopod, Hexischiapoda, is a sister clade to Protobrachys. It did not evolve centaurism, so it keeps its ancestral 6-legged gait, hence the name. The 6 legs, however, provide extra stability, so Hexischiapoda can afford to grow much larger than its ancestors and cousins. These traits allow for some of Samsara III's largest organisms. Thank you for watching this episode of the Samsara III project. Remember, if you want your art featured in a video, make sure to join the Discord server. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time. I hope. Bye!